There are a lot of people who come out to vote in the general election, and their opinion is important to us.
Yep.
We just want to get a sense of the community as to whether or not those people out there who come to the ballot box, and we hope that a lot of them will come out. A couple of years ago, there was a non-binding referendum about fire districts, and a lot of people turned out. It's a good way to get a sense of what the community is feeling, and that's the only thing that this question is seeking to come up with an answer to. What are people feeling out there? So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly. Who else?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Conn.
Well, what happens, Mr. Slavin, if this goes on, and it's just a general question to the general public, similar to what I voted with this board a week ago about Westfield, just ask the people if they wanted the housing or not. It wasn't my opinion whether we wanted it or not, it was what the people want. So what happens if this vote comes out that they don't want to change the form of government? What's your committee do?
I can't really answer whether we'll change because we'll have already put onto the warrant on March 12th what we proposed. But as I said at the meeting we had this past Saturday, we have a plan that if the town at the town meeting decides they don't want to accept our proposal to move forward and see whether or not the state legislature wants to approve the change we've suggested, which would come back for a town-wide meeting, we will then work on the existing charter to make changes on that as we discussed on the Saturday.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, may I? Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
certainly. Go ahead.
Thank you. A couple of things. Number one is whether you agree or disagree with the people who wrote our charter. They knew that things needed to be changed, and that's why they required a charter review committee every 10 years, so that you could look at it. I think that the question of, do you feel the current form of government is working in the best interest of the town? Even if it's 99.99% people say yes, they do, this committee still has a responsibility to review the charter and to see if there are any areas of deficiency in the charter. It might be that people may agree that this form of government is the best form of government, but we have issues all the time with what is meant by this, or who determines this, or whatever, or this ambiguity in who presents what or whatever. So I think that even if if people come out and say, yes, this is the best form of government, it at least gives this group some guidance to say, okay, now we can go in this direction, and just look where those tweak issues are that we've had problems over the past few years. If people say, no, this form of government, we've outgrown this form of government, okay, now we're looking at these issues, these particular ones, and it kind of will gauge them as to where to go. But I think that to say, by putting it on, it automatically says that you don't think that this government's working. I think that our charter itself knew that you have to change and adjust as you go on. I mean, that's why we have amendments to the U.S. Constitution. That's why we have laws written every day, because things change and you have to adapt. So I'm not saying that the whole form of government, but if people are happy with this form, there are still things within this form of government that do need to be adjusted, I think, or may need to be adjusted. So.
Okay.
Well, that was the question where I was heading. Is you and I spoke some months ago, and you had said that your committee came up with changing the form of government as the route you were heading, and I disagreed, and on certain things. My question is just a simple one. If you're going to be on the warrant for your committee to change the form of government when you get to town meeting on April 26th or 27th, the people vote that they don't want to change the form of government, and you're going to town meeting in 3 weeks, and you're going to have on the warrant that it is. You know what I mean? So now you have, let me ask my question before you answer it. So you get the 600 people in the town that are going to vote for the 2,000 maybe or better that go and vote for it. You see my problem with it?
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents, that's all.
We understand, but like I say, if it gets voted down on the 26th, we've made a provision for how we would go forward, so we would basically, the fall town meeting, come back, with a revised version of the existing charter. What we've proposed and what we've put on document number 21 that's available on the town website for, downloading and looking at the people who haven't come to the meetings, there's a lot of features in there, even though it's a city form of government, that can be adapted into the existing charter. And it's not a matter of whether the town meeting works or doesn't work. It's a question of, does the town meeting in 2010 work in the current economy that we have and how the town functions. That was really what our assessment is. Is there a better way to go to do it?
What's that, Mr.
Yes, now I'm done, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, are the questions going to go to town council for form?
Should.
All of the, yes, they will.
Yeah.
And we'll
Has
meet
to.
your March 10th deadline.
No, March 1st, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
March 1st.
Whoops, well, maybe not.
We'll meet it. He may not, but we'll meet it.
I'm just kidding. Well, let me just, if I may also comment, I haven't commented publicly as to my position on changing the form of government, and I'm not going to comment publicly. I don't feel personally that it's my place as a selectman to have a position at all, to tell the electorate what form of government they should or should not have. If we're the last Board of Selectmen, then I will be proud to go down in history as one of the last selectmen. If this form of government continues, then it continues. But I do believe that this concept of a non-binding referendum, especially for Wareham, can evolve to be an important part of our government, because I believe that town meeting is its own process and elections are their own process, but I don't believe the electorate is asked enough or has a forum readily available to voice their opinion on certain very important or critical matters that affect them and their community. For some reason, Wareham has a history of, in many corners, suppressing opinions. And I think that's what's got to change in Wareham. And I think that will go a long way in improving our very form of government. And I think the referendum process helps to do that. So with that said, I think we've done our business here. You're on, and we'll see you the next time, I guess.
As usual.
Thank you very much for your
everybody.
time. Have a good
And
evening.
the average rent for a two-bedroom is $1,650.